Sometimes when you make videos on these type of people, these characters, these situations, you'll see people in the comments saying something like, you shouldn't talk about this, or you shouldn't continue to make videos on this specific person because, you know, there's no such thing as bad publicity. You're giving them so much exposure and so many people know their name. And to which I will begin to tell the tale of Onision, his like 17,000 channels and how all of them are doing terribly. We haven't shut up about this man for like 4 to 5 years now, and he's not doing well at all, financially or otherwise. This may sound like a slightly unnecessary jab towards his channel, but trust me, it comes in as an important detail later on in this video, kind of. I also just kind of wanted to insult him a little bit. Okay, maybe a lot. My conscience is clean. I don't care, you can't stop me. Now, I haven't made a video about this man in over a year now, and I didn't realize I'd been doing videos this long, so now I feel absolutely fucking ancient, but I will do my best to try and incorporate the things that I've missed into this video. And by try my best, I mean I might put in some effort, possibly. Hey, do you guys know FPS Diesel? FPS Diesel, as some of you may know, makes videos on his channel, similar to mine, but also not. This is the best way I can describe it, really. He's a commentary channel, much like myself. You know, he makes a commentary video, I make a commentary video, I made a cooking video, he made sin on a platter, so we're basically the same. What some of you may not know is that Diesel is actually one of my close YouTube friends. And you may be thinking to yourself, wow, isn't that kind of like really weird to have it so close to home, this whole fucking thing? And yeah, it is. I stopped checking Twitter for like a week. What the hell happened? It turns out what happened is that Greg, being the new age paragon of society that he is, decided to unfairly claim a video or something or other. And this is really weird to say, but the flagrant abuse of the copyright system that has been in discussion in the community for years now is the least important part of this story. It gets really weird. My boy Diesel does what he gon' do, bangs out a video on it, challenges Greg to a boxing match for charity in the meantime, and for every other human, that's where this story ends. But Greg isn't every human. Greg isn't human. Greg isn't. Greg. He's a special thing to witness because he displays a very extreme version of a trait that you may have seen in your family, friends, or co-workers, etc. That being that he does very specific things to either look, feel, or just, you know, seem superior in that specific moment. Usually intellectually. So when you make a very concise argument about him, he'll debate it, dismiss it, form a very thought out conclusion. Not well, mind you, but he thinks he does. So inside, he feels just right. He can go to sleep at night, he's totally fine. But you can imagine how annoyed he would get if you just screamed something like, "Hey yo, you greasy bitch, let me break your teeth, boy." Also, as a side note, I'm starting a new business on Fiverr doing FPS Diesel impressions. Pay me now. Once you rob the opportunity to feel intellectually superior from someone whose prime directive is exactly that, they lose their mind. Greg especially. You criticize his books, he'll analyze what you said, he'll justify it to himself, he'll be fine. You say, "Hey Greg, nice job breaking the law, dumbass." He'll justify it to himself. He'll say, "Hey, I've got receipts." And on a side note, never use the word receipts again. And then you say, "Hey Greg, let's throw down." He loses his fucking mind. Oh, did I just say he broke the law? Why, yes, I did, because I remember that I wrote it down. Basically what happened is he wanted to remodel his backyard, which goes into a wetland, like essentially a pond, and he thought to himself, wow, this would be a great idea if I just get a bunch of heavy machinery and plow down my land and all these trees and this beautiful protected wildlife area, and then dump it into the wildlife area that I'm already destroying, while my neighbors can maybe thought was a bit too strong of a word to use. Our boy Greg lives in Washington State, not to be confused with Washington DC for my international folks, which is me. Washington DC isn't a state, and therefore they have no riots there and can be shot in the streets. Washington State, shooting people is illegal, as is many other things such as tampering with the natural wetlands, of which there are quite a few. And Greg's house leads into the wetlands, as does all of his neighbors. So Greg, plus protected wildlife area. I'm surprised it's not on fire. Now, the wetland area that his backyard actually went into was admittedly quite beautiful, and I'm not a fan of wetlands. That makes it seem like I just spend time researching natural, protected wildlife areas. I don't, but it looks quite nice. But not to some people, I guess, because Greg made it his lifelong desire to completely destroy his entire backyard and then grab all the offcuts of the trees, bushes, and other plantations and just kind of throw it into, almost push it with giant machinery. If they ever republish The Art of War, they should put this in there, because the fucking tactical mind behind that is beyond anything I've ever seen. Unless your neighbors can see you, which, they can, because you have the same house, and it all leads into the same wetlands, which is a pond. So you can just kind of look across and see exactly what the other person is doing. And you'll never guess what happened. He lost. Pretty bad. It was kind of obvious that he was going to lose once people started finding videos that he posted and, filmed himself of him chopping up a tree with a chainsaw. And then there was videos that his neighbors took of him dumping it into the wetlands. So it wasn't looking good for him. He says he won, that the court sided with him, but the courts are, public records, so he didn't. I don't know what he's talking about. I think he's just gone insane for real this time. Now, it wasn't just that, he was found to be destroying the wildlife preservation, the wetlands, all that kind of stuff, and he got told to stop in court. That did happen, and he did get told to stop, but he kept doing it because God bless Greg. And now he owes the court more money than he should have, and I'm not sure how much that is. But I do know, or I'm pretty sure I know, that the bare minimum that he would have to pay to repair the damage he's done is about $50,000 US, which isn't even including the costs of going to court, the costs of being in contempt of the first court order. Oh man, do you remember TurboTax? Do you remember when those were his financial woes? God bless, I miss those days. I don't, that was a lie. And now that I think of it, maybe this very recent and incredibly depressing loss for him may have actually been the one thing that made him very angry this specific time and respond to Diesel. I mean, I don't think there's anything you could do that says, I'm embarrassed that I got caught destroying my wetlands on an international scale, than making a song telling people who care about the wetlands environment to go fuck themselves. Sorry, fuck themselves, because, monetizing those 6,000 views is really important. And that sounded like sarcasm, but it wasn't. Every penny counts when you owe the courts, several $1,000s, and also that tax thing that happened before because he's a dumbass. So that was a heavily abbreviated version of Greg destroying the environment. So let's get back to the tale of Diesel hopefully destroying Greg's face. That was slightly me. Yeah, no it wasn't. Fuck you, you greasy little bitch. Anyway, so what's been happening now is that, as I said before, Diesel challenged Greg to a boxing match. And he's been egged on in the past, but this is the first time really that he's kind of seriously responded, like the small child he is. And he did respond. It's really, really awkwardly. Okay, so basically what's been happening is that he tweeted out something that showed that he was aware that he's been challenged to a boxing match, right? Didn't mention Diesel, and later on he pretended to not know who Diesel was, despite the fact he's the only person who's challenged Greg to a boxing match in the past fucking, I don't know, forever as far as I can tell. Along with that, Diesel's been replying to most of his tweets and getting a fuck ton of likes, so Greg definitely knows who he is. Oh, also, I forgot to mention that he's been speaking in the third person because he's playing a fucking character. Why do you have to make things so weird, dude? Greg starts off by indirectly trying to belittle Diesel, saying that, I'm a man, I ain't a boy, I can resolve my problems with words without resorting to such brutish methods. There's two main reasons that doesn't work. The first one being, Greg implies that they're having an argument and Diesel wants to settle it with a fight, like an argument in a bar, over a spilt drink. That's not what the situation is. There isn't an argument. Diesel just wants to beat the shit out of Greg. That's literally it. There's no argument here. He just wants to fight him. And 2, Greg already challenged Shane Dawson based off a disagreement. So there's really no way he can come out of this looking like anything but a hypocrite. And a greasy little slime ball. That was just an insult. So he goes on, periodically tweeting about it, contradicting himself in the meantime, sometimes in the same tweet. But the most recent event in this whole saga has been his YouNow stream, which is a platform so shit I can't even be bothered to describe it. The special part about this stream is that Diesel joined. God has given me a gift for the first time in my life, and I will accept it with open arms. God bless. Now, Diesel had actually been challenged, I guess. I wouldn't say offered. He invited? Nah, it's a bit too passive. He'd been challenged to join Onision's live stream before, but he couldn't because he was busy at the gym. Greg not fighting Diesel and instead trying to get him onto his stream to debate him about fighting, but Diesel couldn't because he was busy getting shredded to fight people, is the most ironic thing in the world. It's almost palatable at this point. The stream isn't fun to watch because it's Greg. You can't ask that much of him. His CPU's gonna overheat. Follow me, Kappa Kaiju TV on Twitch. Where's my Kappa Kaiju on Twitch? Oh fuck. My shoulders, I'm breaking apart. Greg did say that he would fight Diesel on two very specific conditions. They're kind of the same condition. He wants $1 million and all of his expenses paid. I don't believe Greg thinks he's worth $1 million. That was a lie. I totally believe he thinks that, but I also think he's asking for $1 million and all expenses paid because he's in some kind of serious debt. How could he not be after, destroying the wetlands and, lying on his taxes? Yeah, dude, it was totally TurboTax's fault, not yours. In conclusion, what I'm trying to say is Greg should fight Diesel. Just do it. Come on, it'll be funny. Do it. Come on, dude. Do it. Do it, do it, do it. And that's the skinny on that, kid. I think that's a reference to New York slang, or doesn't matter. Thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Sorry if this looks a bit rushed or something, or the effects aren't up to snuff. I'm not gonna be here for a month, so I kind of had to push up production speed to get stuff out. Sorry about that. Follow me on stuff if you want, no pressure. I wouldn't follow me. See you in the next one, I guess.